Mother Nature reared her ugly head yesterday as wind gusts topping 100 miles per hour recorded in the Nebraska region and large grass fires igniting across the area. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. And our top story, fire crews from multiple agencies remain on the scene of a wildland grass fire that tore through 4 counties Thursday overnight into the morning. Fire activity in Morrill, Garden, Arthur, and Keith counties appears to have died down overnight, according to NOAA infrared satellite imagery. At one point, mandatory evacuation orders were issued in Keith County from Highway 61 to the Garden County line, as well as for the villages of Llewellyn, the latter of which was lifted shortly before 2 a.m. after high winds had shifted out of the north and eventually subsided. Bridgeport Fire Hall opened this morning for donations needed for all the volunteers fighting the fire, with needed items including Tylenol, ibuprofen, baby wipes, eye drops, chapstick, water, Gatorade, snacks, and the makings for sandwiches. Well, Thursday's high winds also wreaked havoc across other parts of the region. In the afternoon, multiple fire crews responded to a wind-driven grass fire near Minutair, north of Highway 26 around County Roads 28 and County Roads 29. That blaze, estimated at more than 300 acres, was brought under control in several hours, according to Region 22 Emergency Manager Rob Crowder. Scottsbluff County officials issued a no-travel advisory mid-afternoon due to the dirt and dust blowing throughout the area, with visibilities in some locations down to 0. Eastern Wyoming College in Torrington suffered major damage from the wind. EWC employee Brandy Ty shared this gripping video of roofing being blown off at least one building as top gusts in that area peaked at 76 miles per hour. Eastern Wyoming College students and staff were forced to take cover in the same fashion expected during a tornado warning, with the campus closing completely by mid-afternoon due to the storm. Known injuries at the moment include a Scottsbluff man who was struck by debris when a shed was blown over on top of him. And a lead-footed driver in Gering could be facing a mandatory minimum of 5 years in prison following a Sunday afternoon traffic stop. A Gering officer caught 55-year-old Rafus Stowe of Scottsbluff speeding on 7th Street and pulled him over. His arrest affidavit states he could smell the odor of marijuana coming from Stowe's vehicle and had him step out of the car. Stowe then tried to flee and threw a baggie to the ground. Officers were able to quickly apprehend him and the contraband, and in total found an estimated 70 grams of suspected methamphetamine. He is now facing a Class 1C felony charge of possession of methamphetamine, 28 to 140 grams, which carries a 5 to 50-year prison sentence if convicted. We'll have more news right after this.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether it is building, buying, or renovating, we have the home loan or home equity line of credit to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When it comes to your health, you deserve the very best. At Morrill County Community Hospital, they provide top-notch care with compassion and expertise. From routine checkups to advanced surgeries, their dedicated team is here for you 24/7. With state-of-the-art technology and a patient-first approach, they ensure you and your loved ones receive the highest quality care. Because at Morrill County Community Hospital, your health is their priority. Visit Morrill County Community Hospital today in Bridgeport. Morrill County Community Hospital. Exceptional care right here at home.
Welcome back. We're still a month or two away from being in any real danger for tornadoes hitting our area, but community leaders are starting to take steps to ensure we're ready when the real thing happens. Starting next week, the City of Alliance will begin monthly outdoor warning siren tests at noon. Fire Chief Troy Shoemaker says these tests will continue every third Wednesday at noon through October, providing a reliable schedule for you to remember. He says testing will not occur when thunderstorms are predicted or occurring in the area, or during freezing weather conditions. If the testing is postponed, it will be rescheduled for the next regularly scheduled date and time. Shoemaker stresses that outdoor warning sirens are devices used to alert the public who are outdoors to go inside and seek shelter, and encourages everyone to remain vigilant when severe weather is in the mix. And the Firefighter Ministry is often one of the first nonprofits in our area on scene to help families affected by a house fire, and this week they received some funding to help further their mission. The Oregon Trail Community Foundation was able to present $7,650 from the Neva Mae Robinson Trust to Carissa and Tim Grubbs of Firefighter Ministry. That money will go towards helping families displaced from fires with immediate needs as they work on getting back on their feet. They provide everything from motel stays, food and clothing, provide help with finding a new home, and assistance with first month's rent or deposit.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
I imagined retirement in a place where we could enjoy our golden years, where adventure and friendship are the only items on the schedule. The Garden Homes at Northfield gives us the luxury we planned for and peace of mind when it comes to convenience, safety, and comfort. We never have to stop and think about the day-to-day upkeep. We love to explore abroad, but most importantly in our backyard. So much to do, so much to see. Here at Northfield, we get the protection of life care, incredible tax benefits, and secured rates for aging services. It's peaceful, knowing that if our needs change, we'll be taken care of. And most importantly, that our kids will never have to make any tough decisions. There never seemed to be enough time to do all the things we wanted. Now we get to focus our energy on enjoying what this community has to offer. At the Garden Homes, life is ours again. A place we had dreamed about. A chance to focus on us.
Welcome to Inside the Unicameral. I'm Steve White on the Rural Radio Network. We are now 2/3 of the way through the legislative session. Lawmakers busy trying to figure out how to balance the budget. What does that mean for all the other ag issues out there? Laura Field, Executive VP of Nebraska Cattlemen, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. Good to be here.
You know, we always get so excited at your annual convention. We talked back in December. Here are all the ideas. These are the things we're excited about. Maybe we can get some property tax relief. Maybe we could find consensus on the brand issue. All these things we talk about. Now here we are kind of in the home stretch, and we're kind of sitting there thinking, is there time for anything still to happen? Because it doesn't seem like much has happened. What's kind of your lay of the land?
Yeah, you know, it's been a long 40-ish days so far, and they've still got a little ways to go. But I think the short session is always so unique because time goes quick, even though they start day one debating. But even once committee hearings were over, you know, it's a fast-moving process. So we had a lot of hopes on things going into the session. I think right now there's quite a bit of disagreement on the budget, which seems to color everything else. People's moods towards each other aren't great. We have had quite a few things, I think, that have been successful, and sometimes we measure that by what hasn't happened. Right. You know, we haven't seen any monumental property tax relief come forward this year, but we were able to stop a few things that I think were helpful to not see go forward. So it's kind of that balance of how can we stop the good and try to still stop the bad, try to still pass the good.
Let's drill into that because there was an idea that maybe to balance the budget, they might kind of raid some different funds. There were some concerns. Has that by and large happened as it could have?
Yeah, no. So the big idea that we heard going into the session that was introduced in a couple pieces of legislation was to take both the historic tax credits in the property tax credit fund and the tier 2 credits that came about from LB 1107 and try to spend those towards buying down education levies for K-12 schools. And while we certainly support all of that happening together, using the property tax credit funds to do that was not something that Nebraska Cattlemen supported. So it's something that for a long time has concerned us. For many people, that's the only property tax relief they see. Yeah. They've gotten used to it. It's something we've fought hard for years. And now it's like, well, if those go away and you're in a rural school district that maybe doesn't see a lot of relief, your property taxes are going to definitely go up. So that bill did not advance this session. It's still being talked about. I think it's going to be something we look at down the road, because those the second part of the Tier 2 credits was actually set to grow when there's economic growth. So as those funds get bigger, people are like, oh, let's spend them elsewhere. So we'd like them to still go to property tax relief, but right now I think that issue is off the table for this session, thank goodness.
So as you said, sometimes there's this idea of when things don't happen that could happen that you don't like, maybe that's okay. But that also means it's just been a tough year, that if you did have any priorities, like if we were looking for any sort of structural changes on property tax reform, it's just a tough sell at this point.
Yeah, and I think this was a unique year because oftentimes carryover bills from the long session can be brought back up.
Right.
But the speaker sort of changed the rules this year on you had to reprioritize bills. So again, with each senator getting one, each committee getting two, if there's not consensus, they don't have enough time with the cloture rules to fight it out on the floor. So hopefully still some conversation going to happen, but boy, I've heard nothing but talk about property taxes are going up and they're still too high. And so it's an issue that we're going to keep working on.
Which certainly your membership would support some reform there.
Absolutely. We've said for years we would support broadening the sales tax base and raising the rate if the net benefit was to lower property taxes. I think as long as Nebraska's 3-tiered still is the way it is, income taxes are coming down based on a couple of bills that were passed a few years ago, so we're seeing those tick down. There's been discussion this year of pausing those income tax cuts to try to take some of that money to offset some of these other expensive areas, but that just has not been popular. Yeah. So I think until we see that it's certainly been a priority our members keep talking about. I think with some of the other challenges going on right now, they're really feeling the squeeze of those tax rates going up. So anyway, we'll see. Still going to be a priority.
So as mentioned, we're at this point where we're 2/3 of the way through the session. There's still been a lot of things happening on the budget. They've still got some more votes to kind of make that all happen. So really, we do start to run out of time. There are literally hundreds of other bills, and if they don't have a priority designation at this point, it's probably dead in the water, isn't it?
Yes. Even bills with a priority, it's become kind of clear if there's dissension, really deep dissension. I mean, the brand bill would be a great example where it's hard to get to a consensus position, that those bills are probably not likely going to get scheduled. There's an outside chance that anything could happen. I think it's always interesting, especially the last few days of the session. Yeah. But you've got all the layover times, you got the things that have to happen. You know, for us, we've had a couple of bills that were priorities this year that we've either attached to another issue or we've been able to request priorities other ways. So I think that's something that's a way to look at things too.
And let's talk about livestock on the road. That's one of those, right?
Yeah, LB 977 was a bill that was introduced this year. We actually brought the bill last year and it didn't advance last year, so we brought it back this year. But really dealing with some clarity around who has the right of way and what we might think is common sense on, you know, how should people slow down, pull over, who should yield to who. We've had members who've come to us with problems they've faced with people actually driving through a herd when they were moving them across a road. I just saw some pictures last night on Instagram of people driving cattle down dirt roads. And so I think it's something that's part of our heritage and the culture and the way we do things out in the country, but not everybody understands that. So as we brought this idea forward, we've had more and more cattle producers call and say, yeah, I've had the same problem. A UPS driver was looking at their phone and ran over an animal while we were driving down the road, or, you know, just something random like that. And so that bill is advanced from the Transportation Committee on an 8-0 vote. It doesn't have a priority, but we have made some requests to either see maybe it get on a consent calendar or be part of a Transportation Committee package. Right. It has been a popular idea that we're still hoping. So those are the kinds of things I think in these last couple of weeks, we're still really hopeful that we can see some of that get across the line.
It's a little inside baseball, but sometimes we have these Christmas tree bills or these omnibus bills where sometimes we kind of package different things together, and sometimes you kind of have to have a conversation with somebody, say, hey, it'd be really great if you could take that language, put it into the package. Yeah. It's not controversial. Everybody agrees. And that's sometimes where the things happen, kind of behind closed doors, out in the lobby, just trying to make things happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you have an issue, it's generally been a common practice with this legislature that if bills, like nobody testified against that bill. So if it's a bill that had no opposition in committee and nobody raised any red flags about, we kind of tried to work out all those differences before we got to committee. It seems like there should be a way forward, even though there's just not always a lot of options on some of those. So we're hopeful.
But otherwise, as you start to kind of look at things, you have to realize, 60 days, it goes really fast. And then you remember it's an election year, it's term limits. We've got a lot of folks who are moving on, and we're going to have fresh faces. So at some point, you kind of have to be pragmatic and think, we got to start looking at, if it's something's a priority, like tax relief, we got to look long range, big picture beyond just this year then.
Yeah, and I think you bringing that up with elections and term limits, that's a conversation really in the last couple of weeks. We've heard some people say some of these tough topics to talk about. Some senators will say, well, there's going to be a new group of senators. There's a number of them term limited this year. Maybe we should wait till there's some fresh perspectives at the table. I think there's value in that. Some of us who can tend to be a little more cynical, I might include myself there, we've said that for the past couple turns of term limited senators, and we've thought the same thing. However, I do think there's good in bringing some of these new voices in. I think in some of these races too, there's a number of candidates that filed, so it kind of makes you think, hey, maybe there's a will to want to do some of these things now.
Yeah, it's kind of a two-edged sword, and it depends how you look at it. Sometimes you're also like, well, gosh, somebody like Tom Brandt moving on, he's been good, and he understands our issues, and you're thinking, we've now got to bring somebody else up to speed. So it kind of goes both ways on that term limit issue, doesn't it?
It does, because like I said, some of these topics, I was telling one of our officers recently, I testified on a bill 12 years ago that I feel like the exact same conversation happened this year.
Right.
So, yeah.
And there's just not that institutional knowledge.
Yep.
Those folks from 12 years ago, they're long gone at this point.
Yeah, so it's a win some, lose some on that argument. But it's always exciting to have new people to talk about the issues with, but we'll see. And, we continue to say that one of our challenges, why I think it's so important that we advocate for these things down at the Capitol, is the population of Nebraska, even though we are such a rural state, our rural influence has really gotten smaller. Yeah. The districts change. There's way more numbers in the urban areas. So it's even more important that we're educating folks. I'm really thankful for our team at Nebraska Cattlemen for spending the interim, getting to know people, talking to those senators to say, hey, look, these are important issues. You may not understand. They may not matter in your district, but they really do for our members.
Well, Laura, as we round things out, that budget discussion, that's still the big thing. Everything else depends on kind of how things shake out, right?
Yeah, I think depending on how they get, I know today they're working on it again, and they're going to keep working on it. I think the next week they really have a lot of time blocked off to work on that. So depending on how things look after that happens, and even if there's more holes to plug where they're still working on some numbers, I think that will really depend on where we see some of these bills move in the final days.
All right. Well, Laura Field, Executive VP, Nebraska Cattlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Steve.
And that is Inside the Unicameral, a weekly look at what is happening inside the walls of the state capitol as it pertains to farm and ranch families, and keep watching to see what happens next. I'm Steve White on the Rural Radio Network.
Upgrade early and save more with Renewal by Andersen. March into savings when you buy one window or door and get the second 40% off. With no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months, you can upgrade your home to energy-efficient acclaim replacement windows and our stunning ensemble entry doors. And the best part is you pay nothing until 2027. Your first spring upgrade starts here, so don't wait. Call today or visit rbawyoming.com to book your free estimate.
Let's take a peek at your weekend community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. Community Calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
You deserve to have a building that will last for generations. With more than 110 years of experience and thousands of satisfied customers, Morton Buildings is the industry leader you can trust. If you're planning for a garage, farm shop, horse barn, storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, there's no better time to buy. Contact your local Morton sales office or visit mortonbuildings.com to get started today.
At Platte Valley Bank, we want to help you take advantage of every adventure. We know you have plans, goals, and dreams. Let us help you with them. Whether it is building, buying, or renovating, we have the home loan or home equity line of credit to fit your needs. Stop in and see us at Platte Valley Bank and let us help make your dreams a reality. You belong here. Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And finally tonight, a pair of local professionals in the veterinary field were honored recently by Regional West for their response following a motor vehicle crash last October. When Regional West EMS arrived at the scene, they found veterinarian Danielle Becker and licensed vet tech Cody Woodrow had already applied a tourniquet to control life-threatening bleeding, and they assisted EMS professionals setting up IV access for whole blood transfusion. The pair from Nebraska Veterinary Services were given the inaugural Regional West Emergency Intervention Commendation Award, which will go to those providing meaningful care prior to EMS arrival and making a difference in the lives of the hospital's patients. Registered nurse Marissa Nicol, Executive Director of Regional West Emergency Services, said it was an honor to recognize Dr. Becker and Cody, as there are instances where community members step in and provide critical assistance before first responders arrive. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be out of the office on Monday, so have a great weekend, and I hope to see you back here on Tuesday.